everybody. Welcome back to the Be That Lawyer with Fretson podcast. We are here for you every single week, twice a week, as you know. I love talking technology, but the part of technology that interests me most are websites. I've been fascinated by websites. I've been in business over 20 years. I've had, I don't know, dozens of websites at this point for multiple businesses and such. And it's just so interesting how things evolve. And I really want to give you all a taste of that today with my guest, Julia. How you doing, Julia?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you're here and you were proactive in reaching out to me and taking me to lunch, which never happens. So I was really thrilled to get treated to lunch. And we had such a lovely conversation, and I immediately wanted to put you on the podcast and have you share your wisdom in SEO and websites and conversion and like how lawyers really should be thinking about how they're going to get business through the internet. So, of course, we can't get into that until we do our quote of the show. And this is one of my favorites. Peter Drucker is just brilliant. And what gets measured gets managed. And I think that's in particularly interesting to lawyers because most lawyers aren't managing anything. I mean, they are managing, they're not measuring anything. And so it's very hard to know what needs to be changed and updated. Like even my clients, I have them fill out what are called activities journals that give me all of their activity. How are they converting to business? How are they converting to next steps? Things like that. And we measure that and we look at that and we really try to, anyway, I'm blabbing on, but welcome to the show and tell me why you love that quote.
Yes, I love this quote, not just because I'm a business nerd and I feel like Peter Drucker is such an icon that you have to pick it, but also because I thought it would really help set the tone for our conversation today, because I think measurement is something that is particularly important in SEO. We see so many times there's a lot of talk about, SEO being used as a way to get people to your website, which we think is important. But ultimately, what we're here for is to bring more signed cases. And so I love firms that are really looking at what is our bottom line as far as new signed cases we're getting every month and where are we getting those from, and then making sure to use all the tools in the toolkit to help them get there.
Yeah. So you have search engine optimization that gets the leads in the door. They fill out the form. They convert it on your website or landing page. And then also don't forget everybody, you have intake, right? You have to
Right.
then speak with them and how you run that meeting and how you run that call could be a critical factor to conversion. So there's a lot of different things working. But again, it doesn't happen without for many law firms and lawyers without that website and without having that search engine optimized. So let's take a step back before we go forward and tell us a little bit about your background and how you became the CEO of Lexigate.
Yeah, certainly. So yeah, I'm Julia, CEO of LexiGate. Came into the business actually this summer after a stint in strategy consulting. So really try to take a strategic lens to our clients' problems, thinking holistically about how are they going to get more signed cases and all the different business and marketing levers that can help them get there. So at LexiGate, I oversee our work across 30 clients, primarily in the legal industry. And our specific focus is on search engine optimization, but we really take a broad lens to that, thinking about all the different ways you can be first in the search results, not just in like your traditional organic results, but things like local service ads and ranking in the map pack, kind of taking a holistic view of being where the searcher's eyes now are in Google.
Yeah. Well, and it's important that that people really take this information seriously because we just think a website is something that we put up just so that we have something there. It's like a placeholder. But in reality, there's so much more that it can do from a standpoint of business, from a standpoint of recruiting, from a standpoint of your brand and how people feel about you internally and externally. So let's start at the beginning and talk a little bit about there's, why law firms need SEO. Like, first of all, is it for everyone? And if so, like, why do they need it?
Yeah, there's a lot of different approaches firms can take to getting new signed cases, but I think for many firms, SEO is a good fit for them if they have lots of strong kind of results already built up that give them the credibility such that they deserve to be ranking. I think
Yeah.
what we think about when we think about the ideal SEO candidate is a firm that has a fair number of lawyers, has a lot of victories under their belt, and kind of will easily prove out the things that Google's looking for. So many
Okay.
of you maybe have heard of the Google EEAT algorithm, which is that Google looks for expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trust.
Mm.
And so if you are a firm with strong results, with many different cases you can speak to on your site, you're able to prove out a lot of those elements, and SEO will be a really strong fit for you. That's
And
not to say that newer lawyers can't use it as well, but it's certainly a home run if you already have a lot of those elements in the bag.
And who is like SEO not good for? Like someone that should not make an investment in any way, shape, or form in trying to get to the top of Google through natural means.
Yeah, there's a couple that we would maybe shy away from. Like if you are a smaller budget firm in a large geography, like if someone came to me and they said, I have $1,000 and I want to rank in personal injury lawyer, Los Angeles, right? I would
Could could
say
could be could be
I
somewhat
would put your money
problematic.
elsewhere, right? And we consult our clients on that because we want to make sure they have a good ROI. So that's ones that that's not going to be a good fit for you. I'd try a different kind of referral strategy or something else that might be lower budget.
Yeah. And search engine optimization is ranking naturally versus pay per click, which is where you pay to get to the top, and you have to pay. The more you pay, the more likely you are to get to the top. And search engine optimization is happening more naturally. And you mentioned a bunch of reasons why that would happen. But it isn't something that happens naturally from a standpoint of, oh, I am trustworthy and I do have great results. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be at the top of Google. That's why
Right.
people hire you.
Exactly. Yeah, there's often a disconnect. And we actually look at some of this data of what are the firms that we think deserve to be ranking based on their experiences, their history, amount of time in business, but aren't. And there's quite a few where there is a major disconnect there because there's a significant amount of effort that comes or that is required to show all of the expertise that you have to build out really strong pages for your practice areas that are extremely searcher centric and user centric that will rank and that will convert and bring in signed cases.
Hmm.
So yeah, it isn't, Google is not, God. It cannot just automatically reward from above the perfect firm. It needs all the indicators on your site to show it that you deserve to rank. And that's
Right.
where we come in.
Yeah, and that's the industry that has been kicking butt for so many years because there are so many great firms who, they're like a best kept secret because
Mhm.
they aren't set up on their website and on Google in a way that's going to be productive. So, really great there. Let's talk about the Google algorithm for a minute because my problem is that it seems like it's changing a lot, and then it's like, so you can do all this great stuff and then it's like, oh, they changed the algorithm. And I think there's some people who get it and can move with the flow and of the wind or whatever, and there's other people that are like, well, no, then I can't, then they're stuck.
Yeah. Yeah. This is definitely a hot topic right now. It's something we've been advising a lot of our clients on because there's actually an algorithm update underway right now. It's
Mm.
Google's third update of the year. Many of the updates this year have been on a common theme, which is around helpful content, which essentially means content, in Google's words, written by people for people, and content that's written to improve the user experience and not just content that's made for search. So I think in the past, our desire to rank well, which I love, many companies have kind of started throwing out a lot of content. And with AI, it's made this easier and easier to just get a lot of content out the door so you can have a personal injury page for every single city in your state and try and rank in as many places as you can. But where Google is coming down hard is making sure that the content is truly excellent and useful for users. And
Yeah.
so that's a thing that we're excited about, right? Because we specialize in writing content. So it should be improving our clients' results. But I know some firms that have taken a little bit more of like a mass content approach have been struggling with.
Yeah. And the other piece of it is, and I don't know what the factor is for backlinks, like where so for example, I'm on Above the Law. If you guys didn't know, I'm on Above the Law every month with my articles.
Mhm.
And assuming that they're linking back to my website with my information and all that.
Mhm.
And they're very credible, reputable, right? So yeah, are backlinks like that and others, is that one of the key algorithm pieces that's still a factor?
Yes, backlinks are an important ranking factor. They improve the perceived authority of your site. That's
Okay.
actually been something that's been interesting because the approach that some SEO agencies take in getting backlinks is by putting links to your site on guest blogs on websites that have a lot of kind of mass generated content. And so those types of sites have been hit with these latest Google algorithm updates that say content needs to be helpful. And then if the sites where the link is coming from are not as strong because they've been hit with these algorithm updates, then that can decrease your site success as well. So it's
Mm,
something we're definitely keeping an eye on for our
got
clients.
it. Got it. Got it. So
Mhm.
there's the broader SEO on Google, and then there's things that people that want to work more locally and regionally, local service ads. Talk a little bit
Yeah.
about, like, define that. What are they, and then how are they changing? Like, what do people need to think about with their local
Yeah.
post? And what is people don't even realize, like, what a three pack is and all that. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's jargon to a lot of attorneys.
Yeah, so maybe just backing up a step, if you type in today, personal injury lawyer Houston, what you are going to get on the screen is maybe a little different than what people are historically used to. So historically, you're used to in Google, you have at the top your little sponsored ads and then your traditional organic results that are just like a business link and some information below it. But today, there's a lot more fun and complexity going on at the top of Google search. So one of the things that is often showing up at the top of Google search today, if you Google again, like personal injury lawyer Houston, would be what's called a local services ad, which is an ad that is for businesses that are verified. So if you're a lawyer and you want to run a local services ad, you can create a local services account and be verified by Google through a background check. And they might check some of your license and other things. And then you will be able to show up at the top of Google. And the model for this is actually a pay per lead model, not a pay per click model like traditional advertising is. So we see that this works really well for a lot of our clients because they're only paying if someone calls. And it's a way to be seen at the very top of Google.
And how do they know when a call? I mean, the firm knows when a call comes in. How does Google know, or how do you know that a call comes in?
Yeah, so Google actually masks your number with a tracking number.
Okay.
And so they're kind of calling Google, which then goes to you. And
Yep.
most of our clients have a software called CallRail set up, which helps them track where the call is coming from. So you're like three numbers deep by the time it gets to your actual phone number it's going to. But all of
Gotcha.
that enables a lot of tracking.
Yeah, and that way you know where the business is coming from, which is that
Mhm.
goes to the original statement or quote from Drucker
Yes,
about
what gets
measuring.
measured gets managed, right? Yeah, and this is something that honestly our clients need to keep a very close look on ROI because it does run the gamut, and LSAs can become very expensive, especially in very competitive geographies. So it's something there, and there is a level of randomness to it as far as the cost, and it can fluctuate wildly over months. And so we keep a really close eye on this because we don't want it to get out of hand for our clients.
Yeah, really good. So one thing that's been a troubling part for me and my website over the years, and I think for others, is all right. You can invest in SEO and you can get to the top of Google, and then people get to your website, right?
Yeah.
And they look at your website, they spend time on your website, and then they just go, they just lose interest or they go away. Or, like, what are things that lawyers should be putting on their website to drive conversions? Because ultimately, to your point earlier, that's what it's all about. We can get
Totally.
100 people to the site. If we can't
Right.
convert them, then what's it all worth?
100%. Yeah, this is honestly something we dive maybe a little deeper in than other SEO firms because we guarantee our clients more signed cases. So we want to make sure if we're bringing you signed cases, the website's also kind of set up to
Okay.
convert them. And so this is something we look at a lot, especially on what we call your transactional practice area pages, which is what we focus on the most. So the pages that are built out for each of your practice areas. And one thing we notice with a lot of clients is they don't necessarily have enough conversion mechanisms, or we call them calls to action, like places where you can take action on your practice area pages if you want to submit an inquiry for your case. A place where I especially see this problem is on mobile devices. So I would encourage all your listeners to just to open up your practice area pages on a cell phone and start scrolling through. And if you were a person reading that content and wanted to get in touch with the firm, do you have a place where you can do that? Because I think that's a place where we often see firms being less than optimized.
Well, yeah, and like what percent of people online are using a phone, and the
Totally.
phones that aren't set up for that conversion from website to from website big screen to
Yeah.
mobile,
Mhm.
you're losing all that opportunity because I'm not going to spend a lot of
Yeah,
time
totally.
wasted if I don't see a button.
100%. Yep, we see that a lot. And you often see on a lot of lawyers' websites, when you look at it on a desktop, on the left-hand side, there's content, and on the right-hand side, there's this nice like submit your inquiry box. But when you flip that into mobile, what happens for most websites is that submit your inquiry gets pushed all the way to the bottom below your content. And so users might have to scroll for 15 minutes before they're getting to your submitted inquiry. And so
Yeah.
that's just a quick win to put that more accessible.
Gotcha, gotcha. And then the other thing I used to do, and I don't do anymore, are those pop-ups. Like I've had live chat on my website. I've had pop-ups where it's a bot, but it says, "Hey, how can we help you today?"
Mhm.
And what's the up and the down with that?
Yeah, in general, we recommend that. Most of our clients do have a little bot in the right-hand corner. Typically now we're seeing a lot with their video to make it very personal as well. Like the actual lawyer kind of speaking to, I care about you and your case. So we do like that touch and it makes it easier. I also see a lot of our clients' websites now have a little pop-up that will come up after you've been on their screen for a minute or so that says, do you have a legal matter we can help you with?
Hmm,
And so that also kind of forces them to, if there is something they're interested in, take action on that and share some details.
okay. Um, I want to go back to something that we were talking about earlier, just content. So I'm creating a tremendous amount of content. I've got the podcast, I've got articles, I've got transcriptions of podcasts, I've got articles of podcasts, I've got videos, I've got all this stuff. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying my SEO is good or bad. You can probably determine that better than anybody. Um, but is it fully optimized? And how do I know as a lawyer listening that their content is optimized? How do they do that? What's the steps?
Yeah, so I mean, first to the point of what gets measured gets managed. I would look at your volume you're getting to your transactional pages. So that's what we
Meaning
look at.
volume, meaning how many people are coming to that page.
Yes. How many
Okay.
people are coming to that page? And they are coming to that page from Googling different keywords like personal injury lawyer, like car accident lawyer, etc. And so then you want to look at what is your position on each of those keywords that would bring someone to one of your practice area pages. And our goal is always to have clients in the top three positions for the key transactional search terms in their geography.
Yeah.
So those are the key signs of health. And then the next question becomes, if you're not ranking on those search terms, what can you do to improve your content to get there? Happy to go there if you'd like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Well, what are also some missteps like people that are creating content through AI and things that maybe Google isn't gonna like a lot?
yeah, certainly. Well, what we see a lot is content that is built to rank, but not necessarily helpful for the user. So let me give you an example. I see this a lot on car accident pages, like a car accident practice area page. I see a lot of content about things like top causes of car accidents or top car accident injuries as content on the page. But let's just take a step back and put yourself in the searcher's shoes. The searcher who got to this page has just Googled car accident lawyer, and then they got brought to a page, and that page has information on why you get into a car accident and the reasons for a car accident, right? Like they are unfortunately incredibly familiar with the reasons for a car
Yeah.
accident. You don't need to tell them about the reasons for a car accident. That your target client is someone who's already been in an accident. And so you can skip past all of that. The content that they need right now that they're really seeking out that you can help them on are things like, what is the statute of limitations? How do I know if I have a case? How can a lawyer be helpful to me? What does the legal process look like? What timeline can I expect? Those are the types of things that someone who is kind of a motivated person seeking a lawyer, aka your ideal client, needs to know.
Yeah.
And so we suggest that you kind of start there and go from there.
Okay. Yeah, really, really good advice. So I think, what we're putting together is a picture of what a healthy website looks like, how you can be found on Google, what things help to convert. And then what are like some of the worst things you've seen? Like is like you've looked at a lot of websites and you just see just a disaster. Like what are like kind of the top things that people might go, I think that's me. Like I see websites that are, I mean, easily 10 years old, maybe 15 years old. It's that strip down the middle of the screen and
Mhm.
like,
Yeah,
just they clearly don't care. They just, and maybe they're even getting a lot of business, not from the website, but
yeah.
what are some of the worst things you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, one of the worst things that is just kind of foundational is having a website built on a platform that will be difficult to rank. So 90% of our clients are using WordPress, but a lot of people have something built on, I don't know, some like GoDaddy sites or Google sites or some like super easy to spin up website generator. That is just going to be a deal breaker, most likely, as far as ability to rank. So that's one kind of no-no that we see. We see a lot of really thin content, like just practice area pages with like a sentence or two, and then information about the firm, but not user helpful content. So that's the second thing that we see. And then I think UX, like just the visuals on the page, is also very important. Like, is this something? Because I think when people go to a website, they are wondering if this is a company they can trust, right? And I think
Mhm.
the level of effort put into having a really nice looking site is important for giving that signal.
Well, you just brought up something interesting too that I want to ping. Like, what should a good SEO firm be asking you? What should you as a lawyer be asking them, and what should the deliverable be? Like, how do you know like you're dealing with a reputable? Because a lot of people get burned and
Hmm.
they feel bad about it and then they don't trust easily. What are
Hmm.
the things that should be happening in like the initial meeting, whether it's questions lawyers should be asking or what they should be hearing as far as like what like you guarantee
Hmm.
results. Okay, well that is intriguing. I have more questions about that, but like what like help me on both sides of that picture.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing starts with the data you go through. So I would always suggest going through all firms kind of as table stakes should be taking you through your keyword growth and your growth in impressions, basically number of eyeballs on your sites.
So like giving you an audit, like an audit of what your site currently
Yeah,
is doing
letting
or
you
not
know,
doing.
yeah, are you bringing more people to your site and are you growing the number of search terms that you're ranking for? That's
Okay.
what I mean by keywords. That's kind of like table stakes. But I think the next things that you should be asking for is understanding what specific keywords am I ranking on, right? Because sometimes if you are working with a less reputable SEO agency, they will just start putting up blog posts on topics that are just popular, things to do in Houston, right? Things that don't have anything to do with getting legal clients, just to be bringing more eyeballs to your site. So making sure it's clear which search terms are you getting more traffic from, which pages are getting traffic, and how is the traffic specifically to your practice area pages changing? And then I would push them to look at the bottom line. So we show our clients leads, wanted leads, and signups from organic traffic. And I think that's a really clear way to see, is this moving the needle for the outcomes that matter to me? And am I getting an ROI?
Yeah. And what's what's the um what's the ongoing deliverable that lawyers should be asking for? Because it's like there's all right, you're going to do my SEO. I'm paying you
Mhm.
X amount a month,
Yeah.
and we just let it ride and hope for the best, right? But
Yeah.
that's not the way it
Yeah.
should be, right? I'm sure that's not the way
Totally.
you do it. So, what should I begin expecting then on a weekly basis, monthly basis? Like, what should I be seeing from a reputable agency?
Yeah, so we break it down into four different pillars. First, content. You should be getting regularly either new or revamped content from your agency on
Okay.
pages that are important for bringing in motivated customers. So not just blog posts. I'm talking new practice area pages, revised practice area pages, etc. So content is the first thing you should get every month. The second thing you should get every month is technical support. So they should be doing a audit of your site health, regularly, making sure you're not generating error messages or your site is loading slowly. So that's the second thing they should provide. The third is links that you brought up earlier. They should be delivering strong quality, reputable links. And to your question of what you should ask for, you should ask them what links they got you and like from what sites, so that you have visibility and transparency into that. And are these reputable companies that they're getting links from, or is it some link farm in like Indonesia or something? So that's a third thing you should be getting at all times. And then the fourth thing is local SEO. So support for your local service ads that we talked about. If you're running those, regular updates to your Google business profile, which is the little snippet of your business that shows up on Google Maps. They should be regularly updating that, adding new posts, because as Google sees that you care about your Google business profile, that's an important signal to send more people to it and rank that. So those are kind of the four things I would look for each month.
Well, really, really great. And again, what I'm loving about this interview is we're getting into the weeds about what's important on a website, what's important for conversion, what do you need to ask and make sure you're getting from your current organization, because there's many of them out there, and I'm not going to name names, that just, again, they get your money and they're not getting you any real traction, and they just let it ride as long as you're allowing them to pay. And and then, oh, well, the Google algorithm changed and now you're back to square one. It's like, well, what happened to my 20 grand? That's not, I'm never going to get back. So really great. So let's wrap it up with our game-changing book, Made to Stick.
Yes.
I don't think I've heard that before. That's Chip and Dan Heath.
And Dan Heath. Yes. I'm a big fan. They have very entertaining reads.
Okay.
Like I mentioned, I'm a business nerd. So my husband and I actually in college reached out to all the Fortune 500 CEOs. I don't know if I've told you the story yet.
No, you never told me the story.
To all 500 of the Fortune 500 CEOs and asked them for a book recommendation. And we heard back from 150 of them.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Which was amazing. So anyway, we read the top 50 books and then like created a little summary of our own. But anyway, so all that to say, I love business books. So I'm so glad you had this question. But one of my favorite ones that I read is Made to Stick, or really anything by Chip and Dan Heath. They also have Switch as well. They're kind of at the intersection of business and psychology. And I just find that fascinating. And I also think it's relevant for the legal niche, because whether it's your clients or a jury or even your own employees, right? Behavior change is an important part of life, and influence is an important part of life. So fantastic. I would recommend.
Awesome. Well, let's wrap up with thanking our wonderful sponsors, of course, LawHer. That's a podcast you should get on. We'll figure that out. But that's all about helping women live their best lawyer lives and get ahead. And Sonia brings on some really truly amazing guest speakers and interviews on that. And of course, Rankings.io and our friend Chris Dreyer, who I introduced you to, who's helping personal injury firms around the country bring in that business. So shout out to Chris. And Julie, if people want to get in touch with you, they want to learn more about LexiGate and your guarantee and how you work. I mean, everything you laid out today really makes a lot of sense. What are the best digits for them to reach you?
Yeah, lexigate.com is our website, or they can reach me at julia.hensel, Hensel, at lexigate.com.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you for being on the show and sharing your wisdom. And I mean, I feel like in 30 minutes, we really covered a lot of ground that is going to be very helpful to lawyers who either don't have any experience doing this or maybe have a lot of experience doing this and have felt a little raw about it. But either way, this was lovely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, hope it's helpful.
Yeah, it was. And thank you, everybody, for spending time with Julia today with me on the Be That Lawyer with Fretzen podcast. We are here for your listening pleasure. And also, by the way, all of these are on YouTube. If you're a YouTube person and you want to watch their shorts, or you want to actually watch the entire episodes or past episodes on YouTube and you'd prefer to take it in that way, you can do it. Also have on my blog, fretzen.com/blog, all of these interviews, or many of these interviews, are turned into blogcasts. So you can read away, get the tips and the highlights from each show that way. Thank you all. Be safe, be well, and we will talk again soon.